In every generation, there are people who don't just walk into a room, they change its temperature. They don't blend in, they blaze. You've met them. You've felt them. Their presence feels like fire wrapped in purpose. That's Aries. Welcome to the path to Buddhist wisdom, where today, we look not just at astrology, but at the divine light hidden within the sign of Aries. This isn't about fortune telling. It's about understanding why some souls were born to ignite transformation. If you're an Aries, or you love one, this journey will help you understand why their energy is so unmistakably powerful. And if you've ever doubted your spark, what you're about to hear will rekindle it. Let's begin with the first 4 divine talents given only to Aries. With stories. With soul. With truth. Glowing star emoji, 1. The divine fire of leadership. Leadership isn't about power, it's about presence. Aries doesn't lead because they crave attention. They lead because something inside them can't sit still when direction is needed. I remember my old friend Lean, an Aries born during a thunderstorm. She was barely 10 when her school bus broke down on a stormy road. While everyone else cried, she stood up and organized the kids into pairs, led them to shelter, and reassured the teachers. No one taught her how. She just knew. That's Aries, called to lead by something bigger than themselves. God didn't just hand them this gift, He embedded it in their breath. Their energy tells the world, follow me. I'll figure it out. And they always do. Fire emoji, 2. The spark of action. While others analyze, Aries moves. Their motto might as well be, let's go. This isn't recklessness. It's divine trust. Aries carries the sacred rhythm of forward motion. My cousin once froze before a major decision, to take a job overseas or not. She consulted everyone for weeks. But her Aries roommate heard the offer at 10 a.m. Applied at 10:05. Booked a ticket by lunch. It felt right. She shrugged. That's faith in motion. The world stalls in fear. Aries answers with courage. And in doing so, they wake up something ancient in us all, the power to begin now. Fire emoji, 3. The flame of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to act despite it. That's where Aries shines brightest. Have you ever seen someone defend a stranger? Speak up against injustice, even when it costs them something? That's the Aries flame in action. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's real. During a protest I attended years ago, things turned hostile fast. Police moved in. People scattered. But a small woman, flame-red hair, fierce eyes, stood between the line and a group of frightened students. She didn't shout. She just stood. Unshaking. Unmoving. Her name was Mina. She was Aries. Later she said, I didn't think. I just knew I had to protect them. That's not instinct. That's divine courage. Sparkling heart emoji, 4. The passion that ignites hearts. Passion isn't always poetic. Sometimes it's messy, loud, urgent. Aries doesn't just feel passion, they radiate it. You can see it in their eyes when they talk about something they love. A student I taught once, Aries, became obsessed with building eco-homes. At first, it was a small idea. Then it turned into a community initiative. Then, a movement. Why? Because when she spoke, people listened. Not because her plan was perfect, but because her belief was. When Aries loves, it consumes them. And in turn, they consume the darkness in others with their light. That kind of fire is sacred. It's God's way of saying, here's someone who can remind the world what it means to truly care. Crossed swords emoji, 5. the warrior spirit that protects, not destroys. There's a sacred kind of strength that doesn't come from fists or fury, but from love. Aries has that strength. In the chaos of life, some people fight to win, to prove, to dominate. But Aries, they fight to protect. That's a divine distinction. I once met a young Aries mother. Her daughter was being bullied in school. Instead of lashing out, she walked into that classroom and calmly, firmly, with eyes of fire, spoke truth to the teacher, the bullies, and even the other parents. Not to punish, but to defend her child's right to peace. That day, I saw the warrior instinct rise. Not to destroy, but to shield. That instinct, that's not taught. That's divinely placed. When Aries stands between danger and the ones they love, it's as if something ancient awakens. They become guardians. Not because they have to, but because they can't do otherwise. Gemstone emoji, 6. The iron will that refuses to break. Life bends most people eventually. But Aries, they bend. And bounce back sharper. There's a kind of resilience in them that's so quiet. It's almost easy to overlook. You don't always see them scream or cry. You just see them rise. Again. And again. I knew an Aries girl who dreamed of becoming a firefighter. She failed the physical test, twice. Her friends told her to let it go. It's not meant to be, they said. She didn't listen. She trained. She ran. She built strength in silence. On her third try, she passed. Today she's leading rescue teams into burning buildings. That's not ego. That's sacred will. God placed this fire inside Aries so the world could see what endurance looks like when it's tied to purpose. They don't keep going because it's easy. They keep going because quitting never felt like an option. I emoji, 7. The gaze that defies the world. You can tell an Aries not to do something, but their eyes will already be saying, "Watch me." It's not about rebellion. It's about truth. Aries carries in their gaze a message from the soul. I won't shrink. I won't be small for your comfort. That gaze is unteachable. It's born from fire. It reminds the world that sometimes you have to dare to be seen. My cousin an Aries artist, once told me, every time I paint something bold, someone tells me to tone it down. And every time they do, I paint it even louder. She wasn't trying to offend. She was trying to live honestly. That's what Aries eyes say without words. I'm not here to be approved. I'm here to be real. Battery emoji, 8. The energy that begins again, and again. Some people rest and never return. Aries rests, then rises harder. This energy isn't caffeine. It's not hype. It's spiritual. I've watched an Aries friend lose a job she loved, a partner she trusted, and her apartment, all in 1 month. Most people would crumble. She got up the next day and made a list titled, New Beginnings. That's not motivation. That's momentum encoded in her soul. God gave Aries this energy so we'd never forget, you can always begin again. The sunrise is not just outside, it lives in them. Speaking head emoji, 9. The brutal honesty that heals. Aries doesn't sugarcoat. They don't dance around the truth. They walk straight up to it and say, here's what it is. At first, this can feel harsh. But later, you'll remember their words as the ones that changed you. A former student of mine, young, bold, Aries, once told me during a writing workshop, your feedback is too soft. How are we supposed to grow if no one tells us the truth? She was right. That day I realized honesty doesn't always wear a smile. Sometimes it wears Aries fire. And it burns away illusion. God gave Aries this gift to be mirrors. Not distorted ones, but clear. Their honesty may not always be easy, but it's always sacred. Because only the truth can heal what lies have hidden. Artist palette emoji, 10. The creative fire that turns thought into reality. Most people dream. Aries does. They're not content with ideas floating around, they want to make them real, now. Their creativity isn't gentle inspiration, it's a divine rush. Like a spark catching dry wood. It ignites. I remember walking past a rundown wall in our old neighborhood. The next day, it was covered in a colorful mural, bold, unapologetic, alive. A young Aries had painted it overnight. She told me. I couldn't sleep until it came out of my hands. God gave Aries this creative urgency not just to beautify the world, but to remake it. While others wait for permission, Aries grabs a paintbrush, a laptop, a hammer, whatever, and begins. They don't just imagine change. They build it. And in that act, they remind us that creation is holy. Every new idea born into the world is a spark of the divine. Shield emoji, 11. The fierce protection of a loyal heart. Underneath their fire and boldness, Aries has something sacred, devotion. When they love you, they'll guard your soul like it's treasure. I once knew an Aries man who adopted a dog that had been badly abused. Every night, he'd sit beside the dog's crate, whispering, "You're safe now," for months. Eventually, the dog stopped shaking. Eventually, it began to trust again. That's the kind of quiet, burning loyalty Aries carries. They will fight for their people. They will stand between you and harm. Not out of obligation, but because something ancient in them demands it. God didn't give them this fire to dominate. He gave it so they could be warriors of love, defenders of what matters most. Heart with arrow emoji, 12. The fearless heart that loves loudly. Aries does not love with half their soul. They don't test the waters, they dive in head first. Their love is bold, messy, raw, but it is real. There's an Aries I know who once drove 300 miles in the rain just to say I'm sorry in person. Not because they had to. Because they couldn't sleep knowing they hadn't made things right. That's Aries love. It doesn't care about ego. It doesn't wait for perfect timing. It shows up. They are unafraid to love first. Love harder. Love loudly. God placed this bravery in them to remind the rest of us, love isn't meant to be timid. It's meant to be a fire that melts walls and lights the way forward. Fire emoji, 13. The divine rebellion that awakens the world. Let's be clear, Aries wasn't made to follow blindly. If something doesn't feel right, they won't just question it, they'll flip the table. But this rebellion isn't rooted in chaos. It's rooted in truth. As a teacher, I once had an Aries student who refused to do a group project that felt morally wrong. While the others went along to get a grade, she stood up and said, "I'd rather fail than fake this." She didn't fail. She sparked a school-wide conversation that led to new policies on student consent in group assignments. That's what divine rebellion looks like. It's not tantrum. It's transformation. God gave Aries this fire to wake the world up. Their resistance is sacred, it reminds us that some rules are meant to be rewritten. Writing hand emoji, 14. The courage to write new rules. Not only does Aries break the mold, they build a new one. They have a sacred gift for questioning limits and imagining better. When something feels off, they don't adapt to it, they evolve past it. One Aries friend started a business with no investors, no roadmap, and zero approval. Everyone told her it wouldn't work. Today, she mentors young women across 5 countries, building what she once wished existed. She didn't wait for the system to make space. She created space. God trusted Aries with this ability because the world needs brave souls to carve new paths. When they change the rules, they're not just being rebellious, they're writing blueprints for future generations. Dizzy emoji, 15. The unshakable belief in themselves. Even when the crowd turns away, even when the world calls them foolish, Aries continues. Why? Because their belief doesn't come from outside. It burns within. A former colleague of mine, an Aries, launched her art blog during the pandemic. No followers. No funding. No support. People laughed. Said it was a waste of time. She kept posting. Kept painting. 2 years later, her art is now featured in galleries across Southeast Asia. I once asked her how she stayed motivated. She said, "Because I never needed them to see it, I saw it." That's Aries magic. God placed this belief in them not to make them arrogant, but to make them anchored. In a world full of noise, they listen to the only voice that matters, the one inside. And that voice says, keep going. Fire emoji, 16. The power to rise from the deepest fall. Pain is universal, but resurrection? That's sacred. And Aries? Aries carries the power to rise again, and again. You might see them fall hard. You might think, there's no way they're getting back up this time. But you'd be wrong. Because buried beneath the ashes is always that one stubborn spark, and Aries fans it into fire. I'll never forget my friend Than. After losing her partner in a tragic accident, she disappeared from our lives for a while. But months later, she returned, not bitter, but burning with purpose. She'd started a non-profit in his name, helping children find access to education. I once asked how she did it. She whispered, "I didn't rise instead of grief. I rose with it." That is divine resilience. That is Aries. Orange heart emoji, 17. The brave heart that loves without holding back. Love isn't always gentle. Sometimes it roars. And when Aries loves, it's with that full volume fire. They don't overthink love. They live it. An Aries friend once sent flowers to their partner every single day for 30 days, not for a special occasion, but because they had a hard week. They write poems at midnight. They show up in storms. They forgive faster than you'd expect. Their heart is fierce not because it's careless, but because it cares too much. God gave Aries this kind of love so we wouldn't forget, love is meant to be loud. Love is meant to be courageous. And Aries carries that reminder in every hug, every confession, every moment they choose love over fear. Tornado emoji, 18. The rebellion that comes from soul, not ego. There are rebels. And then there are holy rebels. Aries doesn't challenge the world to be difficult. They do it because something in their soul won't let them settle for less than truth. They question. They confront. They reject comfort zones like old shoes that don't fit anymore. One Aries teen I taught once refused to say the school pledge because it clashed with her beliefs about justice. She stood in respectful silence every morning. She wasn't disrespectful, just unwavering. And that made people notice. It made them think. That's the kind of rebellion God trusts Aries with, the kind that doesn't burn things down, but lights new fires, fires of awareness, freedom, and vision. Bullseye emoji, 19. The determination that finishes what it starts. Aries does not stop halfway. When they commit, they see it through, bloody knees, bruised pride, and all. They are not driven by rewards. They are driven by something more sacred, completion. I watched an Aries marathon runner collapse at the 36th kilometer. eyes glazed and hands trembling. I thought she'd quit, but she didn't. She got up, she limped forward, and she finished. Later, when I asked why, she smiled and said, "Because I promised myself I would." No fanfare, no fuss, just divine grit. That's Aries, the warrior who doesn't stop because it hurts, they stop only when it's done. Collision emoji, 20. The charisma that lights up the room. Some people enter a space and nothing changes. But when Aries walks in, you feel it. It's not about looks or charm. It's something else entirely. A flame that flickers behind their eyes. A pulse that makes the air feel alive. People lean in when Aries speaks. Not because they demand attention, but because their energy commands it. A speaker I once met, Aries, of course, had no slides, no script. But the moment she began, the entire auditorium was still. Not even a cough. That's not learned. That's not rehearsed. That's divine charisma. God gave it to Aries to wake people up, to inspire without trying, to remind us that presence is more powerful than performance. If this message spoke to your soul, if you saw a part of yourself or someone you love in the fire of Aries, then I invite you to stay with us. Herb emoji, subscribe to the Path to Buddhist Wisdom for more sacred stories, spiritual reflections, and divine truths hidden in the stars. Click the bell icon so you never miss a new journey, because your soul deserves light, and this space was created to guide you toward it. As we close this chapter, remember this. The fire within you is not a flaw. It is a gift. A sacred reminder that you were not born to live quietly in the background, but to rise, to shine, and to lead with love. You are not too much. You are exactly enough. You are not lost. You are becoming. And the universe is not ignoring you, it's waiting for you to awaken. Until next time, stay bold, stay kind, and let your inner fire lead you home.